I left America and moved to Egypt at 23 years old with a backpack, no income, no family, and no plan. I ended up moving into a huge villa, finding the job of my dreams, and marrying into a beautiful Muslim family. My name is Brother Yusuf, and this is my Hijrah story. I was just about to graduate college when I decided to make Hijrah. I told my family, my friends, and my professors my plans. Once I walked across that stage, I was gone. So a lot of people asked me why I was leaving. Everyone I knew was there, my whole life was there. But the truth was, after accepting Islam, America felt more and more like a hostile place. There were countless microaggressions that pushed me out of America, from the constant attacks on Islam in the media to the lack of halal food options. I remember one time I went out to the south with my father to visit family. I took a second to go off and pray out in the open. And my father specifically told me that I had to be careful praying like that out in the open because this was the South and I could have easily been hurt or even worse.
We are just seeing an unprecedented spike in anti-Muslim, anti-Arab hate crimes. And so we saw 3 Muslim Arab students in Vermont. There was an attack there that left one paralyzed. There was another stabbing attack in Texas. Just last Thursday, a family, a mother and her children wearing headscarf, they were hit by a car in Washington. We believe that was possibly hate motivated.
This really put the nail in the coffin for me. I decided that if I wasn't safe to pray out in the open in this country that was supposed to be mine, then this wasn't a place for me. So all these felt like reasons for me to leave America. I had been to 2 Muslim countries during my time in college, and I had a close mentor who had been in this country of Egypt for the past 10 years. He advised me to come, and after checking out a video from the Make Hijrah channel on the country, I decided that this was the best place for my deen. When I first touched down in Egypt, I was shocked by the massive culture difference. Everyone on the streets was dressed modestly. I was blown away by the amount of masajid I saw everywhere. Hearing the call to prayer ring throughout the entire neighborhood at Fajr. There were Muslims from all over the world here. It felt like the whole entire Ummah was here. So long story short, it's safe to say that Egypt made a great first impression on me, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. So being here in Egypt came with a massive learning curve. I had to face a lot of problems when I first came here. What were some of those problems? Well, for starters, I had to figure out how I was going to communicate with these people in their dialect when I was learning Fusha, which is the standard Arabic language. It was a massive difficulty on me. Another issue I had to face was crossing the street. Crossing the street here in Egypt is a nightmare. It was really hard for me to get used to, constantly having to dodge cars and traffic. Every time I do it, you really feel like you're like a bowling pin about to get knocked down by the ball coming down the lane. Another issue was dealing with having to constantly answer the question, where are you from? The reason why this was a hard question to answer was because I'm American. And when people here find out you're American and they see my skin complexion, they want to know where I am, Aslan. That question is a tricky question for me because obviously African American, descendant of slaves. So that ancestral, chain, if you will, was kind of cut off. And they're kind of not used to that idea of someone not knowing where they're from originally. So I was pretty much lost here in Egypt. From the very beginning, I had to find my way amongst scholars, students of knowledge, families, tribes. Another key point to mention is that most of the Americans that come here, they come here to study. So they're here to, study Quran, study Arabic, and learn what they can learn, and then go back home to their country. So that was one important point that made me distinct from a lot of my peer group and kind of made me stand out and kind of alienated me to a degree. So one of the challenges that I faced here in the beginning was really just being alone at the start. Most people come here with other people from their country or from their tribe, but I didn't really have that. I still wanted to get married, but I didn't really have anybody to help me look. But I did have my mentor, and that's when my mentor actually told me that he knew Brother Omar Shir from the Make Hijrah channel and that he was here in the country with his family. The day everything started to change for me was when I went to my first ever expat event here in Egypt. I went out to the sand dunes with a bunch of other brothers from all over the West, from the UK to Australia to Canada to the US. This really changed my whole experience for Egypt, and it took it to a whole nother level. I went out there with these brothers and we had a blast. We rode on four-wheelers out in the middle of the desert. We saw the pyramids. We had a great time. This was the first real time I was able to connect with a group of like-minded individuals who were all familiar with my struggle, who I could take advice from and find real affinity with. It just so happened that at this event was Omar Sher's son, Mansour Omar. I connected with him at this event. He introduced me to his father and the rest of his family, and just 2 months later, I was married. So far I would say that my journey of Hijrah has been successful. Honestly, I feel more at home here than I do in my own home country. In just a short time, I've been able to get married. I moved into a new place, and I'm finally pursuing my dream of working on Islamic media with Make Hijrah. This reminds me of an ayat that I read in the Quran before coming here that basically said that whoever migrates for the sake of Allah will find an abundance of resources and means of provision. I definitely found this to be true for me, and I ultimately think I made the right decision by moving here to Egypt. So now that I've finally found a country that feels like home, I'm excited to continue growing as a content creator, learn the Arabic language, and start a family, inshallah.
At MakeHijrah.com, we're dedicated to helping Muslims like you make the move to the Muslim world with ease. Our latest project is the Hijrah Readiness Assessment Test, a short, insightful survey designed to help you identify your strengths and areas for improvement on your Hijrah journey. Visit HijrahTest.com now and start your journey towards a successful Hijrah, inshallah.